So we very well know how to create a server on AWS. Have everyone practiced creating a server on AWS?
Yes, sir. We already done, sir.
So what we do is
Yes.
we'll have something called as the hardware, which is provided and managed by AWS. We will have something called as an OS, which we create through IaaS, which is infrastructure as a code. And this piece is the OS, which we select from AWS. And once OS is chosen and it is on top of an appropriate hardware, we call this setup as a server. And in order to do the application deployment, what we will do is we will have something called as middleware. Okay, we install this middleware component on top of the AWS server. Okay, be it Windows or Linux, we will install something called as middleware. Yeah. So this middleware will help to deploy our application on top of this server, and post to that we will have something called as application, which is our end product. We will deploy it. Okay, so many of you, I assume, would have not worked with middleware. So how many of you have worked with middleware, and do you guys know what a middleware is?
I don't have any idea about them.
Okay, anybody know? Okay, let me tell you, because we have to understand what a middleware is, right? So how many of you know, right, know this application will, I mean, like the OS or the hardware will understand only zeros and ones, right? So we know that the OS will understand only the low level programming language, which is zeros and ones. How many agree with me? I hope
I agree. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I agree, sir.
I agree. Yes, the binary only 0 1.
And whenever it comes to a web application or a standalone application, do you think we code them with zeros and ones? So this might be an HTML page or a JavaScript or a PHP, Python script. This application might be anything. So are these applications written in zeros and ones? No, right? There is some human readable syntax that is available, and developers use that syntax to develop the application, correct? So how we are going to convert this high level programming language? So we call all these technologies as high level programming language. So how we are going to convert this high level programming language to machine understandable language, which is the low level programming language. This is low level programming language. So how we are going to achieve this? This is where middleware comes into picture. So this middleware is a component which is used to run or compile the high level programming language, so that it makes the underlying hardware and OS to understand about the low, I mean, like communicate to the low level programming language. If I'm able to deploy an application which is high level programming language, and like that needs some translation medium, right, to convert it into a low level medium, low level language. So that is where this middleware comes into picture. So what are the different types of middleware that is available in the market is something like we have to see it next. So we have something called Apache, which is very famous in the market. And for Windows, we have something called as IAS. So this is again very famous in the market. These two things are used to deploy static web page. So whenever we have a static web application, we can use this Apache or IAS. There is also other applications like IBM IHS. There is something called IBM Posting Service. That is another application which is used to deploy static applications. Okay. So in our use case, we are going to deploy only static application, and we are going to check that out today. Okay. Similarly, there are also other tools which are available in the market, which is capable of deploying the dynamic application. So here we have to understand what is the difference between the static application and dynamic application, because when you get into an interview, you might be saying that I would have done an application deployment on top of AWS. And people would have asked you what sort of an application is that. If you go and say no, that application is based out of Java, and no, like I don't deal with writing code, rather no, I just do the deployment, I don't know what it is, it won't be good. So that time we should be in a position to understand whether that application is a static web application or a dynamic web application. So what is the difference between static and dynamic application, web application? That is something we have to understand. Okay, can someone tell me what is a static web application and what is a dynamic web application?
No idea.
Static means fixed one. Dynamic means it will be changed.
Sorry?
Static means fixed one. Dynamic means it will change.
That's a great definition in terms of English. Okay. So we have some middleware tools. Okay, I'll tell you about the static and dynamic web application. We have some middleware tool. We can call this tool as Tomcat. So have anyone heard of this name Tomcat before? Or JBoss? So these are few examples of like dynamic web application servers, middleware component that is used to deploy dynamic web application. Okay, we have to understand what is a static web application and dynamic web application is all about. Say for example, like I'm going to host a web page, okay, and this page is going to have only the details about this college or university. Okay, we don't have any features. All we can do is we can view the content and like we can just get the information out of it. Such sort of an application, we call it as a static web application. And there might be few applications which gives you some response back. Say for example, if you're going to book a ticket in IRTC website, and you will be able to see if the ticket is booked out, you'll be able to see the prompt saying that no availability. So it is responsive, right? So whenever you see a responsive application, we call that as a dynamic web application. And when you work in the real time, like 99% of the times, we are now building only the dynamic web application and the not static web application. But the process of deployment is still going to be the same, whether it is a static or dynamic application. Because we are in an era, like every single organization requires a website. Every single organization needs the website to be very responsive, very modern. So in this case, we will be dealing only with the dynamic web application, which were built out of React.js, Node.js, AngularJS. These are the top-notch technologies which is used to build application. But our place is application deployment. So deployment process is going to be still same, but we will be using a different content to do the deployment. Okay. So anyone is having any doubt in these things which are so if so
sorry to interrupt you. So I think we can also host dynamic web application in Apache and IIS.
so we can still do it, but we will be mostly preferring to these tools, which is called as our Tomcat, JBoss, we have WebLogic, WebSphere. We have much more features in terms of logging and other things. But 99% of the times, wherever you go, like you'll be able to deploy this Apache. I mean, deploy this application. Static web applications in Apache, Nginx, and like in IIS servers mostly.
Yes, so web applications are mostly widely using Apache and Nginx, whereas Tomcat is preferred for Java applications.
Exactly. I know like .NET applications, I've seen people hosting in IIS as well.
Yes, you're right. So just to clarify that we can also host dynamic applications in Apache and IIS as well. Yeah, that's it.
We can very well do it, but mostly people used to prefer Tomcat or JBoss in terms of Java and IIS in terms of .NET application. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
This will help other people like who have no idea about this middleware tools. They will be able to like showcase some tools in their resume saying that JBoss and Tomcat like they were working on a dynamic web application that can be hosted on top of Tomcat or JBoss. And like we have also managed some static application which is hosted on top of Apache and IIS. So I'm just giving out a few points and few technological terms, but you can very well deploy an .NET application on IIS. That can be done. Yeah. So next thing is like I'm going to get into this AWS management console. Okay. Let me know if you're able to see my screen. Right? Everyone is able to see my screen.
Yes, able to.
What I will do is like I will create two servers. One is based out of a Windows operating system, and another one is based out of Linux operating system. Okay. So I'm going to click this launch instance, and I hope everyone would have created at least one server by this time. I'm going to choose the Windows first. The reason is simple. I have to, I mean, like Windows takes a lot of time. So if I create it first, no, like I'll have some time. I'll leave some time for this Windows operating system to come up. So what I'll do is like in the security groups, I will open all the ports. Okay. So in order not to have any issues while working with this review and launch. And the key that I'm going to choose is this one. So I will be able to see the mission is coming up. So I'm going to name this as Windows Server. In the same way, I'm going to create a Linux server. So same as that, I'm going to select as all TCP, which will allow all the ports. So the server creation hardly takes 3 minutes for Windows and 7 minutes for, 3 minutes for Linux and 7 minutes for Windows. So I'm going to leave it for 3 minutes and I'm going to connect back to Linux server in a bit. This is Linux server. So both are in the initializing stage. So I'm going to check out the IP address of this Linux server. So it is 315 to 176. What I'm going to do is I'm going to connect to this Linux server first. Just give me a minute. I'll share my screen. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to connect to the server over this putty. So I know the IP address of the server, which is 3.15.213.176. So this is the IP address which I'm going to connect, and I'm going to choose the associated PPK file. I'm going to authentication, and I'm going to browse this option, and I'll be able to navigate to the PPK file which I have. Okay. My Windows laptop is the key that I used for the session. Okay, and with this, I'll be logging into my Linux operating system. Okay, so now if you see, I have logged into my Linux operating system. So I'm with the username of this default username of this Linux operating system is EC2-user. So until this point, anybody is having any doubt. So I hope everyone here should be able to log into this particular screen by this time now. Right? Right, all clear with this until this step?
Yes, all clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I go ahead? Go ahead.
Yes, please proceed.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install this binary from the package manager. Okay. I'm going to install this binary called as Apache from the package manager. Okay. To do that, I have to be a root user or an administrator user. Okay. In order to go as an administrator user, I have to type the command which is called as sudo su root. So sudo is the elevated privilege command, and su is the switch user, and root is the root username. Okay, username is root. If anyone
Sorry,
is
sorry to interrupt you. This echo is coming.
I
Yes,
think
I'm also receiving an echo.
is it okay now? Yeah, someone has
Yeah, now
connected
it's okay.
in two devices and they have unmuted. Okay, so sudo means elevating my permission. Su means switch user, and the username is root. Okay, with this command, I am going into the server as a root user. So initially it was as EC2 user. Now the username has changed to root. You get it? So now we are in the administrative privileged user. Okay, like how an administrator in Windows, in Linux we call it as a root user. Okay, so now I'm going to install the application which is called as Apache. So to install it, the command is yum install httpd. Okay, this is the command used to install Apache application on top of my Linux server. Okay, httpd is application, that is Apache. Okay, so if you go to browser and if you try to type how to install Apache in AWS Linux, you'll get the command right away. Okay, so now I have installed this application on top of the Linux server. What I have to do is I have to start the service of this application. So like how we use VLC media player, we cannot run a movie directly by installing the application, right? We have to double click and we have to open. Similarly, in Linux, we don't have the privilege of this user interface. All we have to do over the commands. Okay, the command that is used to start the web application is service, and the application name which is httpd, and the name is start. Okay, clicking this out, I'll be able to see the service started. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if the service is running or not. In order to check that, I have to use a command which is called as ps, which is process -ef and grep is to search, and the service name is HTTPD. If you click this out, I'll be able to see the process is already running. Okay, very well. So I'm able to see the application service is running well and good. Okay, now what I'm going to do is like I'm going to deploy one application on top of this web application server. From where I can get the web application is the next question, right? So if you want to deploy one web application, I have to have some web application, right? So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to give you a link where you can download the sample web application. Just give me a minute. So I will paste a link on the WhatsApp chat. Okay. So this page can be used to download the web application. Okay. And if you get into that page, I'll show you. Okay. Let me type photo vibrant. So you should be able to directly get into that using that link. Vimeo. Yeah. So you see this, right? If you click this download, it will be downloaded in zip format. You have to unzip and you have to use this. Okay. So this is a web application that we are going to deploy. Okay. So in order to deploy it, so we have the code in our computer and we want to deploy it on top of the Linux server, which is hosted on AWS. So how do we take this application from our computer to the AWS server? So that is the thing that we are going to look into today. For this, we are going to use an utility which is called as WinSCP. Okay. Let me share my screen and show you how WinSCP works. Be able to see this window of WinSCP. So here what I'm going to do is like I'm going to connect my server. How do I connect my server? So what I have to do is like I have to get into my AWS console and I have to understand the IP address of my server. Okay, that is the first thing. I must get into the server and I have to understand the IP address of my machine. So let me go back to my AWS management console. The problem is I'm using two different laptops, no, and it is taking little time to switch between this laptop and that laptop. I don't have this putty utility on AWS. That is a problem. Okay. The IP address of this machine is 315.213.176. Okay. The username is, you all know, EC2-user. Okay. And I have to click this advanced option. And in advanced option, I have this option called as authentication. Here, if I have to browse it, and I have to select the key which I have created. So I'm getting into this machine. It is establishing the communication from my machine to this server. Clicking yes. Okay. So what I have to do is, like, I have to deploy my application in a folder, in certain folder. So the folder directory is VAR, and inside that there will be a folder called www, and inside that there is a program folder called HTML. So I have to copy the contents from this folder and I have to paste it out here. So when I try to do it, it might throw an error sometimes. So it says that I don't have an appropriate permission to do so. So what I have to do, I have to provide permission. So what is the command to provide permission on Linux server? That is something I will show you now. So I'm going back to my EC2 server, and in this server, I'm going to type a command which is called a chmod, change mode. So this is where we change the permission. So 777 means I'm giving full permission to the folder directory. If you closely watch this folder directory, you'll be able to see this is the place where I am deploying cd var www.html. So this is the place where I am deploying this web application, right? If I click this out, this folder will be provided with the full permission to all the users. So I'm again going back to my putty window or WinSCP window, and I'm going to copy this content here. Retry. So now this will copy the content on top of the web. Okay. The copy process is happening. Once it is copied, we can go back to the AWS server, and we can do the command which is called as ls, and we'll be able to list the content. I'm getting into this directory called as var www.html, and if I do an ls, I'll be able to see the same list of contents. ls-l will make it much clearer. So you see this about HTML, blog.html, contact.php, all these files will be available in this WinSCP as well. Whichever file we try to copy, everything will be available here. You see this, all the folder directory and structures are there. So now we will be in a position to access this application on web. So let us quickly check that out as well. So I'm going to the browser and I'm going to type the IP address of this server. So which is 3.15.213.176. So you all see, right? I have done a web application deployment on top of a Linux server. Okay. So you guys can also try accessing this IP address and you should be in a position to access this web page as well. Is it working for you?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes, it's working, sir.
Right. So
Yes,
this is
yes.
how we work with the Linux platform. Similarly, there should be a way to connect to Windows as well, right? So we will check that out now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop share here and I'm going to start presenting on my other computer.
Yeah, it's working for me also.
So are you able to see my screen?
Yes,
Okay.
able to see. Yeah.
So now this time, what I'm going to do is like I'm going to choose the Windows operating system. I mean like Windows. I mean like Linux. I'm going to choose the Windows operating system. This Windows operating system, I'm able to see this application. Sorry, was I audible all this time? Or my voice is
Yes,
low?
yes.
Okay.
No, audible, audible.
Okay, so I'm going to host a Windows, I'm going to host an application on top of Windows operating system. So I'm just clicking this refresh to make sure this 2x2 checks is completed or not. Yeah, it is completed. So what I will do is like in order to get into Windows, people who are working with Windows laptop can use this option which is called as MSTSC. I hope everyone would have connected. I'm going to use something called as RDP, which is a utility available on MacBook. Okay, so I'm going to click this RDP client and I'm going to add a mission to it. And here what I will do is like I will add the IP address of this server. Okay. So it is added. So it will be in the very end. So I'm double clicking it. It is asking for the username and password. Username and password I have to generate. I have to click this connect option. And here I have something called as RDP client. My bad. I have the key in the other server. Just give me a second. So I pasted in the chat and now like I downloaded the key here in my machine. So what I will do is like I will browse. Get password and browse and downloads. I must be having my password. Let me see if this has got downloaded or not. So this is in downloads, Windows 10, right? My Windows laptop. So I'm going to push this file to browse. It's a little hard for me to work between the computers. If I decrypt, I'll be able to get the username and password. I'm copying this username. I'm going back to my RDP client, pasting my username. I'm coming back, copying my password, going back to my RDP client, and I'm pasting my password. Clicking enter, and I'm getting into this application server. Okay. So now I have to install IAS. Like how I installed Apache on top of Linux server, I have to install IAS on top of Windows server. Okay, how do I install this IAS on Linux server? That is something we're going to see. So you're able to see the black screen, right? That is the loading page of my Windows server. Since we are using only 1 GB of RAM and 1 core of memory, Windows is occupying most of the space, and now like it is taking little time to load. So I hope everyone are able to see my screen. So now what I will do is like I'll go to something called a server manager. You see this icon here, right? Like a suitcase. Click this out. This is the server manager, and we have to install the IAS role on top of the server. So click add roles. Okay. So this takes little time. You see this now? There is a blue bar running on top of the box. We have to wait for the blue box to complete, blue bar to complete. It is completed now. I'm going to click this add roles. Click next, next, and next. Here in server role, you have to look for web server, which is IAS. Click add features, next, 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 and install. So this installation hardly takes 3 to 4 minutes. So we'll connect back in 3 minutes. Okay. Okay, the installation stage is completed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this close. Okay, so I'll be able to see my web application as hosted. How I can confirm whether this application is, I mean, like web application is installed or not. So what I have to do is like I have to go to the browser and I have to copy the public DNS or the IP address. Both will work. Paste it out here. You'll be able to see the web application server is loading. Okay. So this is one way of confirming that your application is hosted. Okay. So what is the other way? I mean, like how to deploy an application, like how we pasted it in directory, and in Windows as well, we have a directory which is called as C inetpub and www root. Now this one. So I clicked some other thing. The server is little slow. I'm not able to access it. I'm trying to close this out. So where I have to go is like inet pub, and now there is something called as www.root. Okay. So see this option www.root. Okay. So here we have to deploy the same application. So whichever I had in my photo website application, I will do the same here. So what I'll do is I have the same content here, and I'm going to copy this content. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to copy the complete thing. Okay, until this portfolio. So copying, I'm going to paste it out here. So the copy process is happening. I'm going to wait for this copy process to end. Okay, I'm waiting for this copy process to end. So it is completed now. So now what I will do instead for the same web application, I'm going to reload, and I'm able to see this web application hosted on top of my Linux platform. Okay. So this is all about the web application hosting on Linux as well as on Windows. So if you have any doubt, please do ask me, or we are good for the day. So I'm planning to host a session tomorrow at 9 o'clock. So that is going to be about the DNS. So what we will do is like we are using the IP address of the domain name which is provided by AWS, right? Instead, we will create our own domain name and we will map this IP address or a host name to that domain name. So that like how when we access google.com, it is pointing to some application, this application will be pointing out through that domain name. So that is the session that we're going to discuss tomorrow. And this session is going to be at 9 a.m. Okay. So if you have any doubts, please do ask me, or else we are good for the day.
Before, hello, Zuhair here. Before you
Sorry.
showcase this one, Zuhair here. Okay, before you showcase this is www pub and www root, and after that one directory is a en -us. Okay, so we have to delete the content from that directory and copy this content to the www root.
No, you're trying to say something or you're asking a question?
I'm asking one question.
Okay.
Can you open
So
for
it
the
is very simple.
server?
Like in Linux, what we did, we tried to copy the file from the local directory to the remote server, right? So we will not be able to do it right away. So we need to use a utility called WinSCP. But from Windows or Mac system, we will be able to directly copy and paste the server into the Windows server. So from your machine, you'll be able to copy. So what I did is this is my local server on my laptop. I have this application called Photo Vibrant, and this is the Windows. Where it is? Here it is. Not here.
Yeah.
Just give me a second. So my. Okay, where it is? Yeah, here is my Windows operating system, and in this directory I directly pasted my content here.
www root. This is not possible. In one server, we can publish the two web hosting, like our two websites. Is possible?
It is very well possible. So we must have multiple pages. We should be able to access. So if you have another HTML page,
yeah,
you can point it out as slash that HTML page. Index.html is the page which is displaying right now. Okay. So if you have any other web page, you will be able to right away point to that web page. So if you have another web page saying that index1.html, you should be able to see the web page there. So
hello, this is Somu here.
yes, Prabhu.
Sir, actually, I'm new to this domain. I have two doubts now. You first installed Apache through Putty.
That is on
So
Linux.
Putty, yeah, Linux. From where it got installed actually? It was already, because you gave only command. You had already that setup in computer or from?
Yeah, we have something called as package manager. Okay. So what this package manager does is it will have all the application that is required. If the application is not there, we need to add the application to the package manager. But for the simplicity of our course, we have this HTTPD application hosted already on this package manager. Okay. So I use a package manager to install the application. The package manager name is yum, and I use the command called install, and the application Apache name is HTTPD. So yum install HTTPD is a command which is used to install the Apache application on top of the package manager. I mean, on top of the Linux server using the package manager.
Okay. And for any Windows deployment, actually, I'm a bit confused. Can you just tell me theoretically that this step is, because your voice and their visuals didn't match? I was a bit confused. Can you just tell me this step? No. Can you just tell me the steps from this first one?
Is there any interruption in my voice or recording?
Voice and visuals, because some sharing screen was a bit slow, and sometimes you went friends and you again, I can't get clear the concept what it is.
Okay, is that the only problem you had, or others are having also? Others, no, like other people who have joined the call, are you guys having the same issue? Like I have to check my internet connectivity. That is why I'm asking.
Yeah, even I am having the issue.
So what was the problem? You're not
sometimes me also. Yes, sometimes not able to see the screen. Yeah, sometimes I have also.
Okay. So what I did, I just got into this operating system, Windows operating system. I clicked this option called add roles. And in this add roles, I went into the third step, which is called server roles. And here I checked one application called as web server. Okay. And I installed it, clicked it. It asked me to add feature, and that feature got added. And I clicked install, and the installation took few minutes, and the installation got completed. So once installation got completed, what I did, I went into the C drive, and inside the C drive, I had something called as iNetwork, and inside that I had something called as www root. Okay. In this root, I pasted all the content of this photo vibrant application. And that is all the deployment is about. Is it clear now?
Yeah, clear. Yes.
Okay.
I have one more doubt. So in Linux, we have installed Apache, right? So what was the location where it got installed?
So we will see about Linux. Okay. So in Linux, we have multiple repositories or multiple places where we can install the application. Okay. If we are going to download and keep it in the server, it is not like a Windows installation that we can do in Linux. Since we use yum, we use that command called install, and now we have installed it. So application installation part is not very important at this right point of time, but you have to know where to deploy that application. So the deployment path was var www html. That was the path where we deployed the application. Application installation part will sometimes be in etc. There is a folder called etc. People who are not familiar with Linux might not be able to understand. I don't want to confuse with that right this moment. But when you want to deploy one application, it should be in the path /var www html. I'll message the path, and you'll be also able to find them in the chat. So what I will do is I will share a document. Okay, this document is going to have the step-by-step procedure to do the installation. Okay, just go through it and let me know, like, if you have any doubts. You should be mostly able to figure out things with the document. Okay.
Okay, but the reason why I asked the location is, so I wanted to check myself and do some modifications. For example, Apache got a default port of 80. I wanted to change the port and install it on some other port. So that's why I wanted to ask you the location. So to do it by myself. Okay, that's okay.
Okay. The location would be HC. Just give me a second. Let me quickly. HTTP.
Wow.
So the path is this one. Okay. See, I'll ping you the path.
Yeah. Thank you.
So in this path, there is a folder file called, it's called as http.conf, and you can do all the okay.
Fine.
Not able to see the screen, which is the
You're
path
not
we are
able to
showing.
see the screen, but no, you check out the chat.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll see tomorrow. And others, please don't confuse with this path and no like port configurations. People know like working on their DevOps platform or no like working completely on this middleware tool will be worried about it. But no like for now, if we just deploy one application on top of Windows and Linux, that is very well good. Okay, because this is the first service now and we are working on, right? We will be soon understanding how to change this port and other configurations. Okay, once the class goes by. And I'm closing the session.
For Linux comments, you will explain in a Linux session.
Yeah, there will be a
of
basic
Linux.
sessions. I mean, like there
Okay.
will be a session which covering the basics of Linux, like what are the basic operations that we do in Windows. Similar set of operations we do in Linux. There will be a basic Linux class that will be conducted. Yeah.
Commands, all commands you will explain in that. About commands.
All commands, even if you go for the Linux administration course, you'll not be able to get it. Linux is a wide topic. So whatever we see is more like whichever is required for our course and whichever are the basics that needs to be learned, we'll be discussing them.
Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
Thank you. We'll see tomorrow at 9 o'clock. I'll share the link for that. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks.